Hi folks. Okay, so for today's video, I'm not going to be doing the Bible study stuff. I wrote down some ideas. Not ideas, but they're just stuff that was on my mind. So this is the way I'm going to say this to people. Like I said before, like this is just a library full of ideas, right? So people just take and I don't want any attention or any mention of my name. I don't care about any of that stuff. So just take what you want from my information and my ideas. Take what you want, use them for yourself. That's what I'm saying. Because I got a head full of ideas and weird stuff going on. Use this stuff and make some cool stuff out of it. And I know I've badmouthed NASA, but the reason that I'm wearing this shirt is just so people have ideas, right? Because it's just to think outside of the box, think about space, or think about, not the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know what the heck they're doing. But, and like I put the space, fucking wrong side, space background on the computer so people think like, because I mean like, I would honestly say right now sort of, like even like hip hop music's in a kind of a stagnant state right now because it's like running out of shit to rap about. It's like I can't see people going to the streets and doing all that much gangbanging anymore because I mean you can get CERB or welfare and that'll cover your bills, or you can or whatever, right? I mean maybe I'm wrong. I probably am, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so anyways, let's go with this one. Heart of Atlantis. Okay, so the heart of Atlantis, not the heart of NASA. I'm gonna show you guys something. Now, when I went up to visit my father in Parksville, and as people know, my mom passed away, which it saddens me all the time. I just, for some reason, I picked up this book, Heather's Pick. Now, I don't know if she bought this for me. I don't think she did, but my father lives in Parksville. I live here in Victoria, and if people are watching from out of Canada or wherever, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. And anyways, but this never got really colored in or anything like that, right? But I like all the pictures, they're really pretty. But the pattern, the design of this, I don't know what this is. This design, let's see if I can get this to touch on there. This design, I don't know what that is. Focus on heat. Okay, now that design, I don't know what it is, but I made a song called, I made Atlantis Lost and Atlantis Found. And this is before I knew anything about Atlantis. So this is kind of like, it's just strange because I've never watched any movies or Atlantis or even anything like that. I remember when I was making those songs, I was more or less just like, I was like trying to come up with the chorus, and I was like, Atlantis, on the quest for Atlantis, on the quest. And I was like, oh, it sounds okay. I'll just run with it. Who gives a fuck? I think Atlantis is cool anyways. Or I thought like the name Atlantis or whatever, right? But little did I know at that time when I made those songs, that was probably 3 years ago, that it's a lot of people apparently have been regressed into past lives by different hypnotists or whatever. They just go into a regression, like a regression where they're in a sort of a sedated state, I guess you could say, hypnotized to some extent. They go into these regressive lives from Atlantis, and I've listened to a lot of these people go into regression about Atlantis, and I can't confirm that I've been to Atlantis in my brain structure pattern or whatever, right? But I would imagine I have been, but I don't know. I've never been regressed. Maybe I've tried to regress myself. I've tried to astral project and astral travel, which I have sort of done. Like I'm getting a little bit better at it. Like I can't, and astral travel is basically just sort of, you can take like coordinates from a compass coordinates or GPS coordinates, and then you can kind of see a map, and you just see a map it's got to be, the way that I do it is you get a flat map, and then you got to kind of grid it out, put coordinates on there, and already have a vision of kind of what's happening, and then kind of there's another group of people on YouTube that do this. They actually have a course on it. I kind of watched the course, but I found this was a better way for me to do it, was to take a flat flat earth map, grid it out, and you can use your own number patterns. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just grid it out yourself, right? Maybe use a ruler or whatever, right? Grid it out. So then you'll kind of have your own idea of what the coordinates are, because you were the one that drew the coordinates on the flat map, right? And then you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, go across it, draw maybe fucking 10, 15 lines, however many you're comfortable with, because you're never going to be exactly, and then put a date in your head, and then you put a date in your head, and then you kind of, and then if somebody, well, you need to have a query to ask yourself or your future self or whatever, because like we were saying before, time is linear. Like there's quantum possibilities in time, but time itself is linear. So anyways, so let's say I wanted to do this, and I had my flat map. I don't know where the fuck it is. I had my flat map, and then I put a coordinate down on there somewhere, right? And I said, okay, well, let's see what's happening in, I don't know, let's say Pakistan in 2047 or something like that. And then you would have to kind of have an idea, I don't know, this. But that's kind of what I was, when I started doing my sort of like astral traveling, trying to figure out like future events, sort of how I did it. And there's people, I'm not like 100% the greatest or anything like that. Like, and I think the only time I only did it maybe about a dozen times, and it was always the United States, right? Trying to figure out what's going to happen in Washington, D.C., because they say that America's going to get its free, like, America will get its freedom, Canada will get its freedom, but there's been a lot of predictions. They say, the predictions, I think, said that the world will come to an end around the year 2475. And this was like a Hopi Aboriginal elder that said this. I think his name was Ernie or something like that. I'll see if I can remember his name anyways. But yeah, he said that the world was supposed to come to an end around 2000, or maybe it was, no, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to come back to this. Okay, I'm back. So, okay, I'm plugged in. So I went a little bit off topic there with the whole astral travel thing. So if you guys want to look into that, like astral travel, like there's different ways to do it. But look into astral travel, and that's an idea. So that'll give people something to do if they want to seek out astral travel and find out what that is. This is, like I said, it's a library, and it's just giving people ideas to go explore, try some new stuff. So back to Heart of Atlantis. So another thing I'm going to show you guys here is, so like I was saying, when I went on my drinking thing, right? Before I was drinking again, I was sober, and I went to the beach with this book. So, and I just explained the book. So, and anyways, when I was at the beach, I took some pictures at the beach, and I'm going to show you guys these pictures that I took. Because I was like, there's no possible way, because everybody knows like Zeus of Atlantis and all that stuff, right? And I was like, there is absolutely no possible way. So it's like, I've just been walking around taking random, I take pictures of things that I think are cool. So like, it's like this. Let's go here. Let's see if I can keep going. There's more pictures of Zeus. Why does it keep giving me the same picture? Yeah, see? And it's like, what's this? Oh, this girl here. She's doing, that's light language. So this girl does light language. That's another cool thing. So you guys can go explore light language, which I've came to the conclusion that light language is a derivative of Old Hebrew, is a derivative of the root Hebrew language, but in the future, which is another cool thing that gives people ideas, light language. And people do channel in this light language from God knows where, higher frequencies. And it's like, but if you go to some of these people that do this light language, it's pretty nifty, because it will speak to you. Something like the vibration, the way that it vibrates when you have it on your ears. And it's like, for me, I have these headphones. These are Skull Crusher headphones with the haptic. I'm not plugging these guys either. Skull Crusher headphones, but they're haptic feedback headphones, right? So the haptic static feedback. So these things have the bass that really rattles your head, right? So here's the knob for the bass. People could see that. And trust me, I know I go off into all different directions here, so bear with me. So that's so anyways, so if I put these headphones on, and then I listen to the light language and it vibrates. And you can hear, like if you can hear in the microphone, you can hear that springy sound. I don't know if the microphone's gonna pick it up. But you can hear that little bit of vibration, right? So that's how that haptic feedback, that's called, right? Haptic feedback, like on your phone when you touch a touchscreen. That haptic feedback, ding, 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 so you can feel it through your phone. Which I'm going to get into in a second here. So these are more ideas. So if you want to start writing a script for a movie or whatever, take from my library. Living fucking learning library. Okay, so back to Atlantis. And then on this, I just started seeing this. So what does this say? If anyone could show me and prove to me that I am wrong in thought or deed, I will gladly change. I seek the truth, which never yet hurt anybody. It is only persistence in self-delusion and ignorance which does harm. Marcus Aurelius, via my path. And it's like, I can't make this stuff up. And it's like, I seen all this stuff, and then this is after I got out of the hospital for my relapse, right? What does this part say? Do you have questions? Me too. Do you have questions? Me too. Does healthy want unhealthy? Does honest want dishonest? Does whole want broken? Does sane want insanity? Does just want injustice? I took pictures of this stuff because I was like, and these are just paths that I always just walk to my daily routine, maybe visiting friends or something. And here's a Psalm of Life. I haven't even read this one yet, but I'll show you guys this. Like I said, just take from my library. It's not mine. Somebody else wrote this. No. Zoom on that. Okay? So, if you guys want to read it yourself, take a screenshot. Okay. Tell me not in mournful, a psalm of life. Psalm. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest. Dust thou art, so we are dust, space dust, particles. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, so we go back to particles. So we're particles now, we're going to go back to particles after our soul leaves this human being. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Okay. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts through stout and brave still, like muffled dreams, are beating funeral marches to the grave. So we're all on a funeral march to the grave. We know that already. We're gonna die. But that doesn't mean our soul's gonna carry on from dust to dust, somewhere else, from the womb to the tomb to the fucking, wherever you want to go after that. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Okay, so that just means don't be a cattle. So what I'm doing, I'm thinking outside of the box, giving you guys cool stuff to think about, right? So I'm not being a cattle right now. People might say I'm crazy, or they might say, just like Kanye West said, give me one genius that's not crazy. And if you want to go against me and say that I'm crazy enough to fucking argue with you on the internet, for crying out loud. Or you can make a video and try to make fun of me. I'll guarantee you right now that I will make you look funnier than me. And I know I look funny, so don't fucking blame me for making you look funny if you try to come at me like that. Not a good thing. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within, and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing o'er like solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, Still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Longfellow Deeds, Adam Sandler. That was a good movie. But that's who wrote this. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I didn't write that, but I just took pictures of this stuff on this gate. I was like, okay, let's go through this one. I haven't even read these yet, so we're going to go through them here. Touchscreen. So if people want to read this for themselves, like I said, take a screenshot of this on your phone. Pause the video on YouTube. Take a screenshot of this on your phone. Should be able to read it. My eyes aren't the best, but you should be able to read it. Okay, but I'll read it to you anyways. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and harming it on you, and hamming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or be flied about, or be lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. I try to do either of those things. Sometimes I'm guilty of being too handsome, maybe, I don't know. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make your thoughts aim. So I don't aim with my thoughts. I give you free thought for you to come up with free thought on your own, because I want to see people's ideas, right? I want to see people come up with their own cool concepts just for me, giving you guys some new ideas, new inspiration, instead of remaking a movie or remaking a song. I'm guilty of that. I remake songs all the time because I like to rap and get it off my chest. And if it sounds good, then I'll release it. But let's keep going on this. Your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch things you gave your life to broken and stoop to build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap out of all your winnings and risk it all on a turn of a pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginning and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and you hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of a distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. And this was from Great America, but it's just funny how, I guess this is Fort Street here, so it's just funny how all these things just showed up on this signpost on Fort Street. It's like somebody's walking around, and this is I'll show you guys the whole signpost here. I just took a picture of this. No, go on the thing here. I just took a picture of this, just for shits and just because it was on the path that I always walk down that Fort Street. And it's almost funny because I when I first came back to Victoria after I left Edmonton, I was on I knew I had to get out of Edmonton because of a lot of stories, and they'll all come to light later on in my video series. But it was the Royal Jubilee Hospital that I woke up at 5 years ago with an IV in me, and I didn't know how the fuck I got there. So, and I knew, but for some reason in my head, the first thing that clicked into my head was like, I didn't know how I got there. I didn't know where my bag was because I took a Greyhound from Edmonton drunk. And then I remember the last thing I remember was in a fucking on the ferry somewhere, and I was in a stall or something. I think I don't know what happened. Anyways, I blacked out, I passed out, whatever happened. Woke up at Jubilee Hospital. Didn't know where the fuck I was. I was on a stretcher, on a hospital bed, but a wheelie one, in the hall with an IV rigged into me. But the first thing that clicked into my head when I woke up was And I was like, whoa, where the fuck am I at? And I was like, oh yeah, Jubilee. You got $80 on a bank card in your back pocket. Let's get the fuck out of here and drink. So it was just like this. Blood. Grabbed something, tied it, ran. I was like, I'm in Oak Bay. I know where the fuck I am. Oak Bay, this is Victoria, so if people know what I'm talking about here. I know where the fuck I am. Ran into a liquor store. Grabbed fucking, I forget what I got. I got like, I don't know how much, like probably 12 beers or something like that, right? And then I remember I went to look for the first non-discreet place to drink. So I turned the corner and there's like a back alley behind the liquor store in Oak Bay. So I went back there and I just started cracking cans, drinking. And then I probably started yelling or something. And then the cops showed up. And then when the cops showed up, they said, like, oh, hey, Heath, sort of thing. Like, they already knew me. And I was like, hi. And they were like, they're like, yeah, you shouldn't be drinking back here. So we're just going to have you pour out. I think I had like 4 beers left at the time. So we're just going to have you pour your beers out and then just sort of walk away from this and, you know, try to stay out of trouble sort of thing. So obviously I just did that, right? But I still knew I had some dough on the bank card. So anyways, long story short, went on a tear through Victoria for that time period. So I was just walking around drinking and I was picking up booze and I was like probably bumming money and maybe who knows what else. I was getting my hands on booze anyways. And I was just walking around and I remember there was a place that put up drunk people and it's probably still there. It's behind the old juvie place. It's a hospital and it's called like a sobering house or something like that. And basically what it is if you show up there drunk to give you a warm place to sleep at night. So I remember showing up there drunk, of course, every night. And they'd even let me keep my booze for the morning. So when I'd walk out of there, I'd walk across the street to Crystal Pool and I'd go drink in the dugout by myself, right? So this is my alcohol story here. So anyways, so yeah, but I remember I got to a point, and my mom was still alive at this point. And I got to a point where it was, I kind of knew I was at the end of my rope because you can only walk around and drink and, you know, talk to random people for so long. But I've done it lots. I did it in Edmonton for like 4 or 5, 6 months or something like that, living on the streets there. Downtown Edmonton, right in the summer in the ghetto. That was cool. It was a cool experience, right? This is what life's all about, is experience. But anyways, back to the Crystal Pool part. So anyways, I remember taking a bus up to Langford and I had some money or something. I had like $30 or something like that at the time. And I took the bus up to Langford and I remember I grabbed a case of coolers and then I went to a grocery store and I think I stole a pack of hot dogs or something like that. A pack of hot dogs and some buns. And then I found a spot somewhere and I was planning on barbecuing these hot dogs and building a house in the bush. This is what I came up with in my mind. This is what I was planning on doing. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need some cigarettes. So, but I was like, and then I think somewhere on the way to the cigarettes, to the gas station there, I kind of got the idea. I was like, you know what? My mom's sick and I was trying to go up to Parksville to see my mom because she was sick. And I was like, you know what? Somewhere on the way, I was like, this isn't going to work, Keith, because you're going to try to hitchhike up to Parksville from Nanaimo or whatever, right? And then, so anyways, so I went back and I went to the gas station. I had my little fucking, my little sleeping grounds all set up. And I went back to the gas station because I had my hot dogs and fucking all kinds of weird shit. Like I was doing my own little camping trip there. And I went back to the gas station to pick up cigarettes and I had a debit card that I knew didn't work, right? And I was like, okay, well, if I put this on the debit card, at least I'll have a couple of cigarettes and I'll go put my thumb out and the police pick me up on the highway. Then I'll go spend a week in jail or 2 weeks in jail. And that's exactly what happened. And that's where I sobered up in the Wilkinson Road jail for 7 or 8 days, or maybe it was 14 days. I don't know, whatever fucking shoplifting charge is for fucking cigarettes, whatever it was. So, but that was my plan. So the plan went off without a hitch, right? It happened exactly. Like I was like, when I put my thumb out on the highway and knowing that this gas station attendant probably just called the police because I got out of there before he figured out that my debit card didn't work and I got sick, which I feel bad for doing. I mean, that's a really terrible thing, but you know, it's just liability shit anyway. So that not the fucking end of the world for anybody. Light's getting bright. But anyways, So long story short, that was the first time that I sobered up. So long story short. So I walked up that same street from this path when I woke up in the hospital, up this same street after I left the Jubilee Hospital for the first time 5 years ago after my first bender. And I came up with all these cool stories. That's when I did 5 or 4.5 years worth of music, right? So this is how my first lapse came about. And now it's 5 years later and all this stuff is still on the road. And you got to remember that I grew up in that area, Redfern Street and Oak Bay too, right? So all this stuff is tied in together to call it some sort of crazy quantum fucking network. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave this story off. So that's the story of my first sort of relapse coming from Edmonton. And trust me, I plan on doing a whole video series of more of these addiction. They're stories. Is this thing still going? Yeah. They're stories, but they are they're pertinent for the fact that recovery is always an option, right? I mean, I got lucky that I picked myself up off this last lapse that I had about 3 weeks ago, which, okay, that's better. I just had to close a couple of curtains because the light gets really bright in my eyes sometimes. And I'm already using a freaking halo light thingy, circle light, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so anyways, back to my story. So I left you guys off at I stayed sober for 4.5 years up to a few weeks ago, and that's when I had a small little relapse, like a 3-day relapse. Okay, so the funny thing about this last relapse that I had was that I remember clearly the Sunday I was like, okay, something like clicked off in my brain. And I was like, okay, I got work to do. But I always go to one of my meetings on a Sunday in Tillicum, the area that I grew up in after Oak Bay, right? Tillicum. So I went to my meeting, but I knew in the back of my head I had work to do. So I went to my meeting and I usually bring cookies and throw a little change in the thing. So I did that, but I didn't stick around for the hour for my AA meeting sort of thing. I just got out of there, right? So, and then I walked this is me on autopilot too, because I don't see, this is the thing about that. I didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't the one in control of that at this point in time, right? So I'm going to show you. Well, I was in control, but it was like I was fulfilling some sort of a fucking self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess you could say. So that's when I went to Heath Street and took pictures, and I went all around my old neighborhood and to the 2 houses that I lived at. My old 2 houses. I won't show pictures because other people live there now, so I won't show pictures of that. So I won't show pictures of that because other people live there. But anyways, yeah. So I went to those. Went to my old houses from my old neighborhood and checked them out and had a look around and stuff like that. And then I walked home from there. And I always remember when I was a kid, I had this vision in my mind when I was young, like super young, before I even really knew who, like, the singer Billy Joel, and I know this is out there, the singer Billy Joel was, or anything like that. But I knew kind of downtown Victoria, and I live downtown right now. And I kind of knew downtown Victoria, and I always had this vision that my mom was going to be gone, but I was going to walk by this bank on Fort Street, by the Royal Bank on Fort Street, and be old and mature and wise, and maybe wise. I don't know if I am or not. That's a bold statement. And wise, and walk by this thing with a leather jacket and jeans on, and have my shit together to some extent. And you guys got to remember, I was sober too at this time. I hadn't had anything to drink yet. So anyways, so what I did was, and this is on that same Sunday that I went to Tillicum, then I walked all the way home up Gord Street, and the whole time I was listening to Guns N' Roses, Don't You Cry Tonight. And it's funny because the way that our brains are programmed is because we listen to the lyrics to a song, but little do we know that songs can be perceived in first person, or like the person's talking at yourself. Like songs like Don't You Cry Tonight, like you're singing it at somebody, so usually you think that it's projecting out at you, so like you're singing it. That's the way I used to listen to music. So when I hear song lyrics, like I'm telling somebody to it. I'm not listening to the lyrics and taking them in like Axl Rose sing to me, Don't You Cry Tonight, Heath, and then I'm gonna start crying, even though he's a redheaded guy that wears spandex shorts and dances around on stage in flannel and shit like that, right? But I was crying when he was singing Don't You Cry Tonight, so I'm sorry for doing that, Axl Rose. If you ever watch this movie, I cried that night. But that was funny because it was a song that my mom wanted me to play at her funeral, and it was almost like I was burying my freaking mom. Like, now that I think about it, it was like this was what my mom had always had planned in her head at some point, maybe, to have happen, because it was like that. Now that I'm thinking about it now, just, you know, talking it out on the camera here, it's like this is playing out what my mom would have liked to have for her funeral, was to see her son, you know, happy, healthy, and mature, and, you know, with some sobriety time, and made all that lovely music and all that stuff. You know, a lot of these songs that it's like not very many people in a so-called right mind would sit there and make music day after 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 day for 4.5 years, and drop like fucking, I don't know how many albums I got now, like 15 maybe or so. I got over 300 songs, and I made like over 300 beats and some music videos, and I'm not bragging or any of this shit, but it was like, if people say, oh, Heath, you're putting out way too much material, and it's like, I wasn't trying to prove anything, but it was just getting the pain out of me, right? It was like pain. Keep your mind off of the real fucking thing that's inside of you, right? So people always would be like, oh, he just keeps dropping music like it's fucking nothing, and this, that, and the next thing. And it's like, even when I go to write a song, it's just like, again, it's like autopilot. I don't even think about it. It's like I go like this. I just pull up my notes thing, and then it's just like, I'll just go like this, pull up my notes, go like this, and then it'll just be like, I won't even stop to write. So when I'm writing songs, and you guys, like I said again, take what you want from my library. This is just stuff, like fast forward some stuff. I'm not going to timestamp it. This is mostly for my own personal reference, but if you guys want to listen to what I have to say and take some ideas from it, trust me, that's what it's here for, right? And this is for me later in life, or if I, you know, I don't want to be somebody that's famous, because I don't like dealing with people all that much. That's why I deal with myself in this thing, right? I see my own reflection. So, yeah, anyway, so making all that music and walking around, taking pictures and doing all my art stuff and all that shit, that it almost feels like, now that I think about it, it almost feels like, and from actually, you know, getting sober, getting myself out of jail, going to visit my mother, and then watching my mother die in the hospital, which, I know people say I speak about death lightly, but I know for a fact nobody ever really dies. Just like the band NERD, nobody ever really dies. It's just, and I think that you can take on like on a soul level, like an attachment on a soul level, and I think most of us here are all ancient souls to a degree, or we've all lived many, many different lives as humans and as space aliens or whatever, right? It's funny. Everybody has this fucking funny thing, like, say, oh, the reptilian race or whatever. And it's like, when I think about reptilian race or whatever, which is, they're in the fourth density, and they come down to our density, third density human beings, and they siphon energy off of us, because they eat frequency. So when you start getting to these higher realms of existence, and when I say higher realms of existence, doesn't mean it's better or anything like that. It just means you're riding a different frequency. You're on a different bandwidth. But so, I mean, whether you like it or not, you're gonna go up. You're gonna ascend. Whether you like it, even if you're super happy third density person, eventually you will start going up in frequency, because that's what you have to do. It's the way that the universe works, the figure eight to the side pattern, right? That's how the universe works, and you just keep fucking weaving through and through and through. It's a continuous loop that you just live many, many lives in. But anyways, but yeah, back to that. So it's just funny because I think that human beings have this sort of like, or in this realm of existence, I think that human beings have their own conception of what like a reptilian, like crocodile reptilian fucking weird space alien or whatever the fuck is. Because in reality, these fucking things are, they can take whatever shape that they want to, because when you get to that level of frequency, you can vibrate into different shapes. But they use like that, like I was been saying before, like Trudeau and all these other fucking fourth density things. Because I mean, these guys are fourth density. They're parasites to us on the third density, but we're gonna have to get up to fourth density anyways. And that's when you're a slime, and or what they call them, slime, like Ghostbusters, Slimer, and all that shit, right? What I'm gonna show you is this fucking thing. So, fuck. Okay. It is this. So people could see this, this pattern. This pattern that's on this fella here, that is the pattern that these things use or whatever, right? So that's the pattern of these LCD or whatever the fuck, right? And there's plenty of videos of how these fucking things look when they start their, but what I was saying, okay, I'm gonna stop that here for, okay, so anyways, what I was saying about that black and white pattern that's on that man's body that was doing the cross-legged pose or whatever the heck it is, right? That black and white pattern is very symbolic, because our human span of attention with that black and white checkerboard pattern, and this goes back into the masonry things where they always have the checkerboard black and white pattern floors and stuff like this. And this brings me into this since I got out of the hospital after my first bout with drinking, it's like, I remember, it was out of the hospital, but I remember they were like, okay, well, pick a singer to listen to after I kind of woke up. Pick a singer to listen to listen to when you wake up out of your thing there. And it was Stevie Nicks. And it was something like the room's on fire. But you see the pattern, obviously, right? What the hell is this? I don't know. But you can see the checkerboard floor, right? So that's the pattern, right? So, and a lot of people already know about this stuff, right? So if you get that black and white pattern with different cross things vibrating in it, that can take a form to the human eye, depending on the vibration and the way that the light's reflecting off of that black and white pattern, right? So and it doesn't take your consciousness, to have your consciousness is not like, we got this big human body kicking around, right? But your consciousness is not a big human body. It's like when they say that you die, what is it, 25 grams or whatever, let's just round it off to 25 grams of matter, of particulate matter compacted into this body, right? But that 25 grams, you can put that into any pattern, water-based pattern, and then, and it could be vibrating at a higher frequency, getting all these different signals, but it might be able to, but then it can also come right back down and vibrate into a lower realm pattern, like our 3D or our third dimensional realm that we're in here. Even though I think a lot a lot of it now is we're kind of getting up to a fourth dimensional sort of almost level, right? So which means we're bringing in newer colors and we're becoming more sensitive. That's why I just had to close the curtains and stuff like that, because we're becoming more sensitive to light and more sensitive to sound and stuff like that, right? And this is why I'm trying to bring more ideas to people to get them more in tune with the future. So anyways, so that's where I covered that one with Stevie Nicks' checkerboard. See, I wrote that down. So the checkerboard pattern and the fucking LED shape-shifting fucking reptilian fucking crocodile things. And okay, so this is where I think they're just consciousness, but I think just for fucking funny shits and giggles, because as you know, the planet Earth is a cosmic joke. They're just fucking around with human bodies, just having some fun with us, so we learn some lessons, because this is the way that the universe works. Well, all of us have probably already done the cycle here, right? So this is just, but a lot of people don't know because we get wiped out. Okay? So don't take anything so literally, right? We're just riding out a human experience here, guys. This is all, and these are just ideas, so more people can take ideas and make some more entertainment kind of cool stuff out of these ideas, because a lot of people, they might be in a stagnant spot. So take these ideas, draw some pictures of fucking crocodiles, or write a movie script, or write a book, or whatever. I'm just giving you guys ideas. Okay, so the last part of this was, and I'm going to put this part out too, because this could be used for a movie script if people have ideas for movie scripts, or they want an idea for a movie script. So like I said before, Schumann Resonance, I'm going to Google this, and a lot of people say we're in the Schumann Resonance, right? Fuck off. Schumann Resonance. Schumann Resonance 2021 was, I think it's, what is the Schumann Resonance? I don't know what the fucking Schumann Resonance is. Okay, turn this off. Okay, I'm back. So, I just went on Wikipedia and typed in Schumann resonance. Okay, so the Schumann resonance of Earth, so that means it's the standard harmonic frequency that we're all sitting at, that our water and consciousness is vibrating at in this human form, okay, is set, I think it's 350, but I'm just going to read this. The Schumann resonances, SR, are a set of spectrum peaks in the extremely low frequency, or ELF, portion of Earth's electromagnetic field. And if people know anything about me, I've been talking about this whole electromagnetic field consciousness stuff for a long time now, right? And like I was saying, when I went to the jar store, to the liquor store, to get that beer, it was like, like I said before in my other video, it's like somebody had a fucking magnet on my head and was dragging me there. It wasn't me, but I still went. Portion of Earth's electromagnetic field spectrum. Schumann resonances are global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in the cavity formed by the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. Okay, so like I said, dancing particles in the Schumann resonance. Particles are a consciousness, and particles and light shining and whatever the heck else, right? And this is where that takes me to when I had that relapse with the beers or whatever, right? So it was like we're the Earth's on the Schumann resonance, which is extremely low frequency, which means we're not getting lightning fast information, getting hammered with this super fast information sort of stuff, right? So when I got that voice in my head from wherever the fuck it came from, it was like, I'm going to slow down time for you so you can experience what it's like to be in a higher dimension and still deal with the lower dimension sort of thing, right? And I was like, okay, I didn't even have a choice. So anyways, walked out the front door, and it was like I was walking by these people, and it was like I was doing like the 120 tempo, and these people were on like an 85 tempo. But I'm usually walking pretty fast and stuff like that. But I could just tell something was different because I was looking at their face, and I could see their facial emotions sort of like slowly taking form a little bit slower, like really slower than normal, right? And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, all these people look like they're mentally like slow to some degree. even though that sounds bad. And that's when I went to the park and had those drinks, right? Even when I was walking around the park, everything was in slow motion. I was in regular time drinking, and I had my headphones in, listening to music, drinking in regular time in my own mind, sped up a bit. But everybody else was in slow motion, and I was just sitting there drinking. And I remember drinking like 4 beers as fast as I could. And I didn't even really get that much of a buzz because I was already vibrating so fast or something. I don't know what the fuck it was. But anyways, this is when and then... So this gets back to what I was talking about with the Stevie Nicks stuff. So I finally snapped out of it after 6 beers. I was like, I'm not fucking, this is not how I want to live my life. I want to keep being a good person. Da, 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 da. So I got back here and they said, okay, pick out an album. Whatever this voice in my head said pick out an album, go to sleep, which I fucking obediently did. And I'll leave you alone, sort of thing. So whatever that fucking I think it was probably a dark forest, and I was just like, no. So I went to sleep, and for some reason I picked out that Stevie Nicks thing with the checkerboard to listen to when I woke up out of that slumber. So I went and I threw the rest of that 15-pack of beer out in the garbage, and I woke up and I had Stevie Nicks on my Spotify thing. And then it was kind of like, yeah, so I came out of that slumber, but then something else happened, and then this is where I'm going to get to the second part of this. And then, so anyways, I tried to sleep it off, but I couldn't sleep it off because this is when I woke up, threw the beers in the garbage, and then I came back up here, tried to have something to eat. I couldn't come back, and I couldn't eat anything. And this is where the second part of that sort of happened, right? Because that's when I started watching Netflix, and it was like Netflix was talking to me in like it was talking at me. Like, this guy doesn't want to split his consciousness yet. What the fuck do we got to do to get him off his ass? It's like they were making fun of me like I was a clown. Or they were like the whole fucking clown thing. Like Bart Simpson, when he's in the clown, can't sleep, clowns will eat me, can't sleep, clowns will eat me. I was in that same state. I remember I was like, can't sleep, clowns will eat me. I was in a fucking like fucked up state, right? This is real shit that I'm talking about. So people know. It's a joke that I don't really understand yet, but it's a joke. So anyways, getting back to that story, so they're like, then the voice in my head came back again, and they said, pick a movie that you want your life to be like. And for some reason, I had limited fucking options on Netflix. I couldn't find anything that I really wanted my life to be like, so I tried to pick out like the best movie possible that I could pick out, and I was like, Spanglish with Adam Sandler, but it was still like he was talking to me. I was trying to find one with like Kate Hudson, because I think she's attractive. I like that girl, but I was like, okay, well, if I pick a movie with a dude that's kind of a fucking strange looking dude, I don't think I'd want to be a strange looking dude. So anyways, so if somebody wants to make a movie out of this stuff as a script, I'll be happy to retell the story and somebody can write it into like script format. So anyways, so I put my phone by the television. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put my phone by the television. And then the voice in my head said, said to wipe out all the fucking numbers out of my phone. So that's what I did. So that's why when people have been calling me lately, I don't know who they are. But the funny thing about that is that, yeah, it still had me put... These are the only numbers that I have on my phone. It doesn't really matter. Still had me put... It's like Selma Hayek is your escape number. For some reason, it would like pick out an actress's name for your escape number. I'm scared to call that number right now because I don't know who the fuck is gonna pick it up. Say 911 emergency. Da, 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 da. I wonder if I should call it. Hey, just see. What is the number? Cleaner maid. So this is Selma. So, see, I don't remember putting this profile in there. Selma Hayek, cleaner maid manager. Got my phone number, and they also got a mobile phone number. That's fucking weird. Selma. Phonetic name. And yeah, look at this. This is what happened here. So it's even got medical conditions. So people could make a script out of this. Like, I'm not making this shit up either. People could make a fucking script out of this fucking story that I'm telling you right now. So it says medical conditions, seizure, because they're like pick a way to die. I was like alcoholic seizure. Allergies, aspirin. I'm not allergic to aspirin. Current medications, love. Blood type, O negative. Other, 211. And then this fucking QR code. How the fuck? I didn't even... Okay, so apparently there's a QR code on this phone. I wonder if this would work. But my name is... see, this is beyond me how this even transpired. But that's when it said to wipe all the phone numbers from my phone, put the fucking phone in front of the TV, put it on Netflix, and try to wipe my own fucking memory out. And I know this is some fucking Terminator type fucking shit, right? But this is what happened. So my TV's right here, so I can show people kind of what the fuck I did here. Can you guys see my TV? Yeah, you can see it good enough. Anyways, there's the TV. Okay, so now then. Okay, so that's what I did. I put my phone by the TV right there, and I started trying to bang my head off the ground to try to split because this fucking QR code popped up in my fucking head. Like a fucking QR barcode, like, and I don't have the fucking thing. No, I don't have that. So anyways, so this fucking QR code popped up. Something happened in my, but I seen this inside of my own head, right? This QR code popped up, and they're like, you got to split this QR code from the waveform. Do you want to be a waveform or a QR code? And this was already I wanted to be a waveform, obviously, because I already made the ONIVIA. I already did the groundwork for the whole ONIVIA thing, right? So I was like, okay, well, yeah, so I'm going to be, so like, okay, well, if you want to be a waveform, then you got to split your fucking consciousness, because we're going to take half of it and make it a fucking QR code, and we're going to you can keep your waveform half. And I don't know who the fuck was talking to me when I came up with these ideas, right? But let's just say this is a movie script. So I started banging my head off the ground to try to get this, to try to fucking, said all you need is that flash, just an unconscious flash. So you just got to be unconscious for like 1 second. So what's the easiest way to get unconscious for 1 second? Just bang your head off the fucking ground. Try to knock yourself out. Oh. Attention, Facebook, your FB. Why would they fucking send me this? Anyways, doesn't matter. So, I tried to do that, and it didn't work. So then the next option that I came up with was go in the bathtub. And I'm not suicidal by any means. This was just a quick thing to just knock myself out for 1 minute. The last thing I would ever do is commit suicide, so people don't take this seriously. And like I said, this is for like a movie script, or just for cool ideas, or just a funny story to tell your friends. I don't care what you do with it. I got no shame in my game. So anyways, so I was like, okay, draw a bath, throw the fucking toaster in the bathtub. That should knock me out for a fucking second. Easiest way, because I wouldn't slip my wrist or anything like that. Like I just use this as movie script ideas, because half of this stuff I might already just made up in my head. I don't know if it's real or not, but we're just gonna run with this for a second here. So anyways, so I started running the bath, and I was like, you know what, no, I don't think I want to fucking throw a toaster in the bathtub with me, so I'm not gonna do that. So I was like, okay, and the next easiest thing was I was trying to call 911 to try to just say, you know, like, I got coronavirus, and I couldn't call 911 to say I got coronavirus, because I was calling 911, and they were like, where are you? And it was like they kept throwing me through a loop around. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I got coronavirus, come to my address. And it's like something seized up the way I was talking, so I couldn't say that I couldn't say what my address was, or something kept fucking around with me. So I was like, what the fuck? I can't even form the fucking word to say what my address is, and I've lived here for fucking 5 fucking years. So I was like, okay, something's going on here. So I was like, okay, next best thing to do. Leave your phone by the TV. Maybe this was all just a bad dream. Leave your phone by the TV. Walk to the fucking back up fucking Ford Street to the Royal Jubilee Hospital. So that's what I did. Or that's what I tried to do. But when I walked downstairs, and I'm not making this stuff up, when I walked downstairs, there was a police car there, and I just walked by them casually, thinking I'll just walk to the hospital. And I was like, you know what, you're all fucked up. Just ask the cops to give you a ride to the fucking hospital. So I go up to these police, and I never seen these guys before, and they said, yeah, can we help you? And I was like, yeah, can you guys drive me to the hospital? And they're like, you're going to the hospital? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, why are you going to the hospital? And they started putting me through a ringer. I was like, because I gotta fucking split my fucking head. And then anyways, so so I got in the back of the cop car, and the way that they had the seat belts was like a spider's fucking, it was like they had like 6 seat belts in there or some shit like that. And this is me, and I'm not even really drunk at this point. No, I'm not even drunk. I'm sober right now when this is happening, right? So this is like the whole, and I think a lot of this relates to that fucking MK Ultra programming that we've all been under for so long. So anyways, so I jump in the back of the cop car, and it's like I just sat on top of all these fucking weird seat belts, and I started trying to smash my head again just to fucking split my consciousness up. And I just couldn't knock myself out, and I was fucking smashing my head pretty good. So anyways, I get to the hospital, and I don't know who the fuck the staff were or any of that shit, doesn't matter. And I get to the hospital, and I was doing the same thing when I was sitting on the one cop just handcuffed one of my hands, my wrist, to the fucking thing. And he's like, oh, just sit still and wait, they'll get around to you. And meanwhile, I'm fucking smashing my fucking, nobody's putting a hand over my head to stop me from fucking smashing my fucking head. And so I'm just sitting there smashing my head, trying to knock myself out, and I still couldn't do it. So anyways, so eventually the fucking doctor comes around. He said, yeah, what's wrong with you? And I said, I don't know, I gotta split my consciousness. I was like, I don't know. And I couldn't even talk. I was having a hard time forming words. It's like something just flew over me. Like I couldn't even form a fucking word properly. So anyways, so eventually I just started going into like the whole fucking rock and fucking seizure, and the last thing I can remember saying, mom's the word, because I was missing my mom, and I was like, mom's the word, and I seen the doctor smile on his face. I was like, just give me the fucking kill shot, mom's the word. So the doctor puts the fucking needle in my arm, and fucking that was the kill. So then I woke up, and they were pumping fluids into me, and I was like, okay, here we are again, back at the hospital. So I pull all the cords out. And I'm like, okay, can I go home now? They're like, no, just relax. So I put the cords back in, or they put the cords back in me or whatever. And then I finally came to, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, can I finally go now? And they're like, yeah. They're like, well, we want you to stay around. But the time that I was in the hospital bed with the curtain closed, it was like I was hearing voices around me, and it was like my soul family. Like, I don't know, like, this is just like, take it for what it is. It could be a movie script or whatever. And it was like my soul family, and it was like they were like, I was listening to stories, like old stories that they were telling, and who they were, and this and that and the next thing. And I was like, why the fuck? I was like, I've only been at this hospital now for about fucking 6 hours. And in my head, I was wondering, I was like, why do they have so many patients? Because I must have heard 24 different voices of people talking to the nurse, and I'm like in a bed, and there's only like 2 stalls beside me, and I must have heard like 24 different conversations between, and I could tell the distance that these people were talking through, you know, the curtains, and then the distance, and it was always the same distance, but just different conversations back and forth, right? And I was like, well, this is fucking strange. Needless to say, I got out of there, and then I came back home, and yeah, but then this is when, but I mean, it couldn't have been a dream, because I just showed you guys that the whole fucking Selma Hayek fucking phone number on my fucking screen here. So again, take it for what it is. If somebody wants to make a movie out of this stuff, or you get some cool funny ideas, or maybe this brings you into a memory, or this helps you with something in your life, take it for what it is. Take from my library. But some of this stuff is pretty interesting stuff, and it might be good for entertainment, or it might be just good to put some ideas in your head. So I'm going to leave this here for today, but there's a lot more to this story, but I'm going to have to edit some of this video. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll come at you guys with more cool stuff, because I got tons of different stories and stuff like that. There's still lots more to this story too, but I just don't want to try to do too much more today, because the circle likes fucking burning my eyeballs out again. So hope everybody enjoyed listening to me going around.